Namaste, welcome yogis. My name is Kassandra and today I'm going to take you through a Vin to Yin practice. This means the first half of our class is going to be a dynamic Vinyasa flow class, so great to stretch and strengthen. And then the last half of our practice is going to be dedicated to Yin Yoga. So passive, long-held poses meant to target our joints and really work on flexibility. So you don't actually really need props for any particular pose in this class, but especially because we're gonna have Yin Yoga, you might wanna have a couple cushions or just some blocks close by in case you need it. So this is definitely an intermediate level class. We're gonna start in a wide-legged child's pose. Bring your big toes together, knees as wide as you would like them to be. Walk your hands forward and just fold all the way down. So a great full body flow. We'll definitely be working on some twists as well as getting into our hips. So in this first hip opener, try to relax and melt the pelvis down towards your floor. Try to relax your shoulders and your chest. No tension here. And take about 5 deep breaths here in this pose. Feel your breath travel all the way down to your low belly and low back. And let's walk our hands in, start to lift back up. And we'll come into our tabletop pose on hands and knees, palms under your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Taking our first twist in thread the needle. Reach your right arm up towards the sky, open up your chest. And then exhale, thread that arm through so that you can lower your ear and your shoulder down onto the mat. And you might push your left palm into the floor. Try to realign your hips over your knees. They might have swayed to the left a little. And if you want to make this a little bit more challenging, you're going to straighten your left leg and maybe start to float and lift your left leg off the floor. If you roll over, no big deal, happens to everyone, but try to maintain an internal hip rotation. This will help you keep your balance. Squeezing into your glutes. If you can't breathe, you've gone too far. And delicately place your knee back down to the mat. And we're gonna push the hand into the floor to re-extend and lift right arm up. Tabletop pose. Let's just do a few cat and cow before we go to the other side. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze. Exhale, round and reverse this motion. One more here. Coming back to neutral, second side, left arm rises up and thread it through, placing ear and shoulder down on the mat. Right hand can push into the floor, realign your hips directly over your knees so you're not swaying on one side more than the other. And if you did it the first time, this time your right leg will straighten back behind you. Squeeze into the glutes to float it up. Totally normal for one side to be a lot more challenging than the other. Just breathe. One more full inhale. And we'll place that knee back down. Push back, left hand up to the sky. And let's find tabletop pose, cat and cow one last time. Inhale. And exhale, round. One more inhale. And exhale. Coming back to neutral, walk your hands forward, downward facing dog. Our first downward dog, make any movements here that feel good. Just stretch into the back of your legs. See if you can push your chest towards your thighs a little bit more and curl your tailbone up. Draw your lower belly in so you have the support of your lower abdominals in this pose. And big exhalations to let go. And we'll find our ragdoll fold at the top of the mat. So walk your feet forward. You can keep them pretty wide. Bend your knees a little if you'd like. Maybe hold on to your elbows. Then you can sway a little side to side. Whatever feels good to you here. Just a nice way to decompress. And bring your fingertips down to the floor. Stay in this forward fold, but see if you can walk your hands over to the right. So stretching through the left side of your waist. And go to the other side, stretching over to the left. Go back through to center. Chair pose, big toes together, heels apart. Bend your knees as much as you can. Hands at your heart for this variation. So palms together, roll your shoulders down and away from your ears. Rock your weight back into your heels and sink down a little bit deeper. Let's come into our chair pose with a twist. Cross your left elbow over the top of your right knee. Look down at your knees and notice if the left one is further than the right one, shifted back. Keep your knees together. Hips should be lower than your chest. Push your hands together, roll your right shoulder back. Inhale back through chair. Switch to the other side, twisting right away to the left. Right elbow on your knee or thigh. Look down at your knees, make sure one is not going further forward than the other. You're trying to get your hands to be aligned with the center of your chest. Sink a little lower. Inhale to chair and press to stand. Release, mountain pose. Let's take a flow from here. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift, flat back. Plant your palms, step your feet back to plank. Inhale here and lower as you exhale. Cobra, roll your shoulders back. Exhale to release, downward facing dog. And from this down dog, let's reach our right leg up to the sky. Go ahead and bend your knee, open up your hip, get a great big stretch here. Push into your left heel even more. Straighten and square that right leg. So feel the hip rotate in. And as you exhale, tap your knee to your nose, come forward into your plank pose. Inhale, three-legged dog. Same thing, exhale, knee to nose, pull it in. Last one, inhale. And exhale, hold here and step the foot forward in between your hands. High lunge, arms reach up overhead. So shoulders should be in line with your hips. Hips and shoulders, everything facing forward. Draw your lower belly in. And we'll come into our easy twist. Left hand down to the mat, right arm stays up, stacking one shoulder over the other. Push into both feet evenly. Maybe looking up. And bring your right hand to the floor, back to your plank pose, lower all the way down to your belly. We'll take 3 baby cobras here. Inhale, upper body lifts, squeeze your shoulders back. Exhale to lower, twice more. Inhale, squeeze and lift, and lower. Last one, inhale. And exhale, downward facing dog. Stretch it out in your down dog. And let's reach our left leg up towards the sky. Bend your left knee, open up your hip. Big stretch here on the second side. Keep your elbows straight. And go ahead and straighten your left leg. Inhale. Exhale, tap your knee to your nose. Inhale, 3-legged dog. Same thing, exhale, keep your hips low. Inhale, reach it back. Last one. Exhale, squeeze and step that foot through. We're coming up into our high lunge. So feet should be about hip width distance apart. Reaching your arms up. Really feel that energy go all the way to the fingertips, all the way down to your toes. Pulling your belly in and up. Transitioning to your easy twist. Right hand comes down, left arm stays up. Stacking one shoulder over the other. Left hand to the floor, plank pose, and lower down to your belly. 3 more baby cobras. Inhale, upper body lifts. Exhale to lower, twice more. Inhale, squeeze, and lower. Inhale, up, and down, downward facing dog. All right, from your down dog, reach your right leg up to the sky. Keep it straight and squared this time. Exhale, tap your knee to your nose and hold it here. Now tap your knee to the floor and pull it back into your chest. 2 more like this. Tap it down, pull it up. Tap it down, pull it up, and step the foot through in between your hands. Back knee comes down to the floor into your low lunge. So we'll find low lunge with a prayer twist here. So your hands can come together at the front of your heart and you're going to rotate, maybe just holding and staying up high, or you might be able to bring your elbow towards your knee. Try not to sink down towards your thigh here. Really push your elbow down into the thigh so that you're trying to get your hands to be at the center of your chest. You'll really feel this deep in your twist. Roll your right shoulder back, press the hips forward and down. Slow, steady breaths here. And looking down to the mat, bring your fingertips to the floor and just go ahead and straighten that front leg as you fold. And getting into your hamstrings. And bend into your front knee once more. This time, keep your left hand to the floor. Reach your right arm back and see if you can grab a hold of your heel as you pull it into the glute. So adding a quad stretch to this twist. Carefully release the hold of that back foot. Downward facing dog. And from this down dog, let's move forward, plank pose. Exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. And this time, 3 full Cobra poses. So keep your feet flat on the floor, but push your hands into the mat to lift up. Roll your shoulders back, keep your elbows in and bent. Exhale to lower. 2 more like this. Inhale, push. Exhale, down. Last one, inhale. And exhale, press back, take a little mini child's pose. Stretching out long. And you can keep your arms out in front of you or send them back, whatever feels the best to you here. 3 deep breaths in and out through your nose. And let's find our downward facing dog. We'll do that sequence over on the other side. So from your down dog, this time your left leg is going to reach up and back. Keep it straight and squared. Exhale, tap your knee to your nose. Hold it here, and then your knee touches the floor, and then back to your chest. Touch the floor, back to your chest. Last one, floor, chest, and step it through. Into your low lunge. Hands at your heart, and we'll prepare for our twist. So rotate to the left and decide if you're going to be placing your elbow to your knee. Push your elbow into your thigh to lift your belly off of your front leg. Looking wherever is comfortable for your neck. And try not to let your left knee cave in towards your big toe and towards the midline. You'll have to push it out slightly against your elbow if it's placed there. And looking down to the floor, we're going to straighten that front leg. Hamstring stretch, relax your head, relax your neck. Make this a little bit more passive. And into our quad stretch this time. Bend your front knee, right hand down, reach your left hand back, pull it in. Release the back foot. We meet in our plank pose. And we'll lower all the way to our belly for 3 cobras. Inhale, push the hands, get yourself into a nice deep back bend, and uncurl with control. 2 more. Inhale, push, and exhale to lower. Last one, inhale, and exhale. Downward facing dog. All right, from this downward dog, reach your right leg up to the sky. You can go ahead and bend your knee if you'd like and open up your hip. And we're gonna come into our warrior 2. So carefully step that foot in between your hands, spin your back foot parallel to the shorter edge of your mat, and go ahead and lift up with the upper body, palms facing down. So as you bend into your front knee, squeeze it open. And now I want you to turn your palms to face up towards the sky and bend your elbows. So squeeze your shoulder blades behind you as if your elbows were going to touch. And this activation that you feel in your shoulder blades, try to maintain it even as you start to straighten your arms. And once they're straight, then you can turn the palms to face down. So I really want your upper back to be fired up when you're doing warrior 2. And let's reverse. Left hand down, right arm up. Inhale, back, warrior 2. And now straighten that front leg, triangle pose. Send your hips back, left arm up. And see if you can roll your left shoulder back a little bit more so that you're leaning back in this triangle. Push your feet into the floor, obliques lift you up. Now bring your hands to your heart, a little bit of a challenge here. We're gonna step all the way up to the top of the mat. So you're on your right leg, left knee is pulling up. Grab a hold of your knee with your right hand, open into a twist. Left arm reaches towards the back of your mat. Try to keep that knee lifted up nice and high. Maybe looking towards your back thumb. And now standing pigeon pose, cross your left ankle over the top of your right knee. Start to bend into that knee as you send your hips back, chest forward. This is already a lot, so maybe you'll want to stay here, or you can actually add a twist in this pose, bringing your left elbow to the inside of your left foot, carefully pushing the elbow into the foot, trying to get your hands at the center of your heart. This is a hard one. Don't get discouraged if you wobble or if you fall out of it. Try not to dig your toes into the floor. With as much grace as you can, try to come out and release. Mountain pose, shake it out. And we'll go set ourselves up for the second side, taking a flow first. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, fold all the way. Halfway lift, flat back. Plant your palms, chaturanga. Exhale, upward facing dog. Inhale, down dog. Push into your heels. Straighten out your arms, lengthen your spine. Second side, left leg rises. Bend your knee, open up your hip. And find warrior 2. Left foot forward, back foot parallel to the shorter edge of your mat. squeeze and lift. So rather than having dead arms and very little engagement in your upper back in Warrior Two, turn your palms up, bend your elbows, and squeeze your shoulder blades behind you. Maintain this engagement even as you start to straighten your arms again. It's challenging. And once you have it, then the palms can turn to face down. So Warrior Two is not only about your legs. Let's reverse, right hand down, left arm up. Back to Warrior Two. Activate through your shoulder blades, straighten that front leg, triangle pose. So left hand travels down towards the floor, towards your shin, maybe a block. And even though I am flexible and I could bring my hand to the mat, it makes my shoulder drop forward, which is what I don't want you guys to do at home. So even if you are flexible, try to get the ego out of the way. Lift up a little higher so that you can roll your right shoulder back. Push into your feet, come on up. And we're gonna come into our standing twist, so hands at the heart, step up, and this time your right knee is going to lift up as high as it can go. Grab a hold of your knee with your left hand and start to open up. So right hand should not look at the camera while I do this. So notice if you're rounding in your spine or if you're bending your supporting leg. See if that knee can lift up a little bit higher. And let's unwind to face forward, standing pigeon pose. Cross your ankle over your knee, start to sink down, and really think of pushing your hips back. Maybe you hang out here, or maybe you take your prayer twist, right elbow to the inside or to the sole of your right foot. And you're trying to push the foot into the elbow while the elbow pushes into the foot. So a lot of dynamic engagement here. This is not a passive pose. You really need that resistance in order to hold your balance. Always good to challenge ourselves. As gracefully as you can, start to lift up and release, shake it out. Let's take our flow. Inhale, exhale, halfway lift. Chaturanga, step it back. Upward facing dog, downward dog. All right, from this downward dog, reach your right leg up to the sky and step that foot through, coming to Warrior One. Back foot moves in at about a 45-degree angle. This is really just our transition pose. So straighten your front leg and narrow your stance a little bit. We're gonna move into our revolved triangle, our last big twist in this vinyasa practice. If you want, you can use a block. You don't need to. Inhale, lift up, and then exhale, start to fold forward. So beginning in your pyramid pose. Once you're halfway to the mat, let your left arm drop. If you're able to drop down to the mat without twisting your hips, you can continue as you are. Otherwise, you're welcome to support yourself with the help of a block. Right shoulder rolls back, maybe right arm extends up to the sky. Really spin the heart open, inhale, hand to your hip, look back down, we come out the way we came, push into your feet, lift on up. Find your Warrior One, so bend into that front knee. Inhale, arms rise. Downward facing dog, step the right foot back, and right away we'll go to the other side. Left leg up. Step your left foot through, Warrior One. Hands on your hips, and just go ahead and straighten your front leg. You might need to narrow your stance a little bit. Square off your pelvis so everything is facing forward to the top of the mat. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And start to hinge forward until you're parallel to the floor. Drop your right hand down. Either keep your right fingertips on the mat, or if you have a block or something at home, you can put it and close the gap. Left shoulder rolls back. Left arm stretches up. And this to me has got to be in like the top 5 most challenging poses. There's a lot going on. So don't be afraid of using your blocks. Left hand to your hip, face the floor again. We come out the way we came, push into your feet. Bend into that front knee. Warrior 1, look up. And downward facing dog, step that left foot back. Let's take our flow. Inhale, plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. So last little bit of flow here before we move into the yin portion of our practice. Bring your knees down on the mat. And we've worked quite a bit with our back bends and working on the spine, so we'll come into tiger pose from here. You're going to kick your right heel up towards the sky, drop the belly, lift the gaze. And then if you can, you're going to reach back with your left hand to hold on to the foot or the ankle. Start to push the foot into the hand, making that bow shape. Try to keep that thigh in. And release. Counteract that with cat pose. And second side, left leg reaches up to the sky. Maybe reach back with your right hand to hold onto the foot and really push the foot into the palm to lift your thigh up. Right shoulder rolls back. Squeeze and lift, and exhale, release, round and contract. And moving into our first Yin Yoga Pose, let's find a wide, like a child's pose. Big toes together, knees as wide as you would like them to be. So Yin Yoga, we're holding the poses 3 to 5 minutes each. Of course, you are welcome to come out of this earlier at home. Do whatever you need to do. But our intention here is to relax our muscles fully. So let gravity do the work for you as you surrender into the pose. Slowing down your breath, slowing down your heart rate. Let go of any tension in your neck, your shoulders, and your hips. If you notice your mind getting distracted, just bring your focus back to your breathing. And start to lift back up on hands and knees, tabletop pose. Take your time here. Any adjustments that might feel good for your hips, for your low back. And we'll be setting up into Pigeon Pose or Swan Pose, as we call it in Yin Yoga. Your right knee goes behind your right wrist, and you decide where you put your heel, so it doesn't need to be a 90-degree angle through that knee. You can have your heel closer in towards you. Just try not to lean on one side more than the other. Keep your weight distribution even through both hips, and you can always prop yourself up with a block or two under your hips or under your chest, maybe staying up nice and high, or you might choose to fold forward. So this is an intense hip opening pose. Remember, we're here for 3 to 5 minutes. So you don't need to chase any kind of intensity and sensation here. It's a lot better to ease off. And as we hold the pose, you'll be able to go a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper with every minute that passes. But if you try to go to your end range of motion right away, it's going to be really difficult to hold this pose for the amount of time that we're in it. And that's how we risk injury in Yin Yoga. So hold off a little bit. No ego here. There's nothing to prove, no one to compete with. We're just doing what feels really good for us in this moment. And go slowly coming out of this one. Just push your hands into the floor. And we're actually just going to lean onto our right hip, transitioning into Shoelace Pose next, or knee pile or Gomukhasana. So left leg can come out in front of you, and you're going to stack your left knee over your right one. So getting even deeper into our hips. One leg over the other, and you can play a little bit with how close you have your heels. And maybe you hang out here if there's enough sensation, or you fold down. And letting gravity take you into the pose. Remember, you can always use any props you have at home. So for example, this is going to be a nice option, just having a block under the forehead or letting it dangle. Always coming back to your breath, slow and steady. Let's ease on out of this one. If you were in the fold, walk your hands in, lift on up. And we'll just release from this whatever feels good and intuitive to you. Maybe straightening your legs out in front of you or dropping the knees side to side in a little windshield wiper motion. And we'll move into Swan Pose or Pigeon Pose on the second side. So from your tabletop stance, you can bring your left knee behind your left wrist. And again, you get to choose where you put the foot and the ankle. It doesn't need to be as close to your right hand as what I'm doing here. Stretch that back leg behind you and choose if you're going to leverage and use a block or some cushions underneath your hips. And you can fold on down. So it's very normal for one hip to be a lot tighter than the other. So for one side and one variation of the pose to feel completely different than it felt the first time you did this. So you really have to adopt a beginner's mindset as if you had never done this pose before. Really meeting your body where it is right now before relaxing fully. And let's lift up. Slowly coming out. And you can rock onto your left hip and left glute, shoelace on the second side. Stacking your right knee over your left. Maybe you'll just stay up nice and tall, or you can fold forward from here. Maybe letting your head dangle, or supporting yourself with whatever you have nearby. Try to relax your arms, or if your arms need to work a little bit just to hold you in at your edge, try to at least shrug your shoulders away from your ears. So I really want your neck and your jaw to be able to relax. Notice just how much you might clench your jaw whenever we're doing a Yin Yoga pose. It's very common, very normal. But we want to get out of this habit and learn to fully relax, even when there is some degree of intensity. If you were in a forward fold, push your hands into the floor. Lift on up. And just like before, whatever feels intuitive to you here, maybe extending and straightening out your legs, or taking a little windshield wiper motion. We're going to lower on our backs for the rest of this practice. Our last few poses here will come into Reclined Butterfly. So as you lower down, you can bring the soles of your feet together to touch and let your knees just flop open. Maybe your hands rest on your belly, or if you wanted to open your chest a little bit, it might be comfortable to extend your arms up overhead. So just letting gravity pull your thighs and your knees a little bit closer towards the floor. If you had your arms overhead, you might want to bring them towards your thighs and knees just to help the legs come back up. And just for a few breaths, widen your feet and let your knees fall in towards one another. So internal hip rotation after that deep external hip rotation. And we'll come into a variation of a laying spinal twist next. I'll give you the option of doing cat pulling its tail, which is a bit more advanced. So I'll take you through your options, starting with the easiest. First, extend your left leg out, pull your right knee in towards your belly, and then you can cross your right thigh over and just take a twist from here. So this is option one. If you'd like to go further into this one, you can bend your left knee and then see if you can grab a hold of your left foot with your right hand and try to roll your right shoulder down so that your collarbones are facing up towards the sky. So you're moving your knees away from one another. There's a lot of tension of opposites here happening. Big, deep twist. A little bit of a quad stretch as well. So take your time to find the variation that feels the best to you. And then we'll relax into it. If you are in the cat pulling its tail variation, just slowly release the hold of your left foot. Allow that leg to straighten, and you can release, rolling onto your back. And take a moment just in Shavasana, just to feel the effects of this pose before we go and repeat it on the other side. Noticing where you feel this the most in your body. And we'll work our way through the options, pulling your left knee in towards you. And this time you can cross it over towards the right. And maybe just holding here in your reclined twist, or adding the quad stretch for cat pulling its tail, or a variation of it anyway. Bending your right knee, holding onto your right foot with your left hand, and really roll and push that left shoulder down as you also encourage your left knee to twist over. Release the hold of your right foot if you are grabbing it. And we'll unwind back to center, this time coming into Shavasana, our final resting pose. Take up space with your arms and your legs. Shrug your shoulders down and away from your ears. Maybe taking a few cleansing breaths. Letting go of any lingering tension. And just notice how you feel after those deep twists and deep hip openers. A truly detoxifying practice. Just settling here for our last few moments together. Start to deepen your breath. Move a little through your fingers, through your toes. Roll your wrists and your ankles. You can stretch your arms up overhead. Roll to one side. Push your hands into the floor so that you can lift up. Taking a seat. And sit up nice and tall here, joining your palms together at the front of your heart. And we'll close with the chant of Ohm. One time we inhale to chant. Big breath in. Namaste. Thank you so much, yogis, for doing this hour-long Vin to Yin practice with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and leave me a comment below to let me know how this went. If you'd like to practice a little bit longer, you can follow this up with an affirmation meditation, clicking right here. And if you haven't already, why not challenge yourself with our 10-minute morning yoga 30-day challenge? You can click right here to sign up. Thank you. Namaste.